Good morning, everyone. So, raise your hand if you've been asked, maybe already just this morning, how are you feeling? Anyone get that question as often as I do? No one cares about how you're feeling? Few people? That's better than none. That's the question I want to just share with you this morning. I'm constantly asked, how are you feeling? And I'm going to do a spoiler alert and give you the answer now, and then I'm going to share with you some additional context as to why. When I'm asked that question, I use the same answer and have for a while now. I am rich. I am rich. And let me tell you what that means to me. My brother is an Army vet. He was someone who went to the first Iraq War. He went into the war as a registered nurse, but he did not come out as a registered nurse. As a matter of fact, he did not return the way he went in. His ability to think was different. His ability to process was different. For all intents and purposes, he was a different man. And those differences has led him to be homeless for the last 27 years. A few years ago, I decided that I wanted to go visit him because he's homeless in Oklahoma City and really try to understand through his lens what life was like as a homeless person. And at the risk of stating the obvious, I was ill prepared for the realities of what I saw. And it wasn't just the poverty, because of course, if you're homeless, by definition, you're impoverished. What really struck me was their attitude. So what he had decided to do was take me to all the different places that he and other homeless people tend to reside, which means under highway, under overpasses, which means in tent camps and abandoned areas that even on a bright lit day at 95 degrees, you will not find me. And there was no complaint. There was no complaint. I remember one specific instance when I hadn't even been there, maybe not even an hour. And we were going by the second overpass that he wanted to show me. And there was a person who came from the overpass underneath, had come down, and they clearly were in pain, but obviously I didn't know why. And they came up to me, and they asked if I had any ibuprofen. And here's the worst part. When I went to go visit my brother, at the time, I had this lipstick red Audi A4. That's the right reaction. So I said, yes, let me go get it out of my lipstick red, everybody look at me, sports car. So got the medicine, came back, and asked if I could ask, what did you need it for? And the person had said that yesterday they had just got hit by a car. And so they were uncomfortable. So I said, well, here, I'm not going to give you two. Let me give you the whole bottle. And they declined it. And I'm quoting, I don't want to put you out. Just let that resonate for a moment. Because if it doesn't impact you, I would frankly ask you to do a soul check. Because it gutted me. This homeless person who had just been hit by a car didn't want to put me out by taking more than two, which at best would satisfy them for 4 hours. And I'm going to go back to being rich. Maybe one other piece of context. I used to be a stockbroker. Used to work for Schwab, used to work for Morgan Stanley, quite literally had billionaire clients. And I will tell you that in all likelihood, that the people in this room are as rich as they are. It just depends on your perspective. So when I tell people that I'm rich, the ability to turn on my light switch and have electricity come on. I feel rich. The fact that I have choices. I primarily live out of my home. One may say to an unhealthy point, but that's a conversation for another day. And I go down to my refrigerator at lunchtime to get something to eat. I'll be transparent. Sometimes I will grill me some salmon. Sometimes I'll grill me some steak. But in each instance, I have a choice. I have options. There are so many people who would love to have an option, let alone options. So when I think about this time right now of prayer, I got to tell you, I spent a lot of it being so very thankful for extreme generosity by my God, which I also hope is your God. Because one fact that is not lost on me, I quite literally pray is not lost on you, that his generosity is a choice. Just like we have choices, he has choices. And I have been on the receiving end of some of what I perceive to be his unfavorable choices on me. So I don't discard them. I don't take them for granted. My sister-in-law, she just came back from Africa about 4 months ago, a missionary assignment there, but she'd been there for about 3 years. And we've all heard this, but it's something that resonates with me when you hear from someone who is your family. How the women there, and I don't know why it's always the women, but the women there have to track 5 miles to include up to 9 months of being pregnant. Yes, women, I respect you who are in the room, to go get some water. 5-gallon water jugs, I'm sure you've seen the pictures, on their head, tracking back in African heat. And they don't complain. They don't complain. When I moved to San Antonio about 7 months ago, I moved into a house that did not have a water filtration system in it. So I put one in. I don't know if it was a blessing or a curse that I decided to do this, but I asked them to go ahead and test the water, both before and after. If we had a full media team back there today, I'd have them put the picture up on the screen because I still have it. It was awful. What I was drinking before versus what I'm now drinking after the filtration system. Literally, from yellow with feces in the water, I had no idea that I was drinking, to now this clean filtration water that I can drink any time that I want for whatever reason I want. I'm rich. I'm rich. So here's how I want to close out my last minute. You wouldn't be here if you didn't have a prayerful heart. And I'm going to be so arrogant to think that you wouldn't be here if you didn't have a giving heart. Because it's not lost to me that you are here maybe not even just to pray for yourself, but to pray for others. But in a moment, you're going to come up here, and there are some prayer cards and some information packets to help you guide you through what this prayer moment could be for you. While you're praying, give a moment of thanks, of extreme graciousness that has been bestowed on you. And as you just heard from my own lips, I will certainly be giving thanks for what has been given to me, freely, without ask, and without anything in return. We live in a very, very conflict time. But that conflict doesn't have to be absent Thanksgiving. Let's use this time to encourage one another. Let's use this time to activate a healing for someone else. Let's use this time through prayer to activate a miracle for someone else, because all is around us. It's just a matter of what lens you choose to look through in order to see it. So I'm going to go ahead and pause now. I know I already said it once, but I'm going to just repeat it. Please feel free to come on up. As you see, others have already taken the time to write up some prayer cards. Maybe after posting yours, if you have an additional minute, it might be great if you can maybe just review one or two that are posted. And as you are sharing what you put in your prayer for your prayer card, maybe you could take a couple moments to uplift a couple others. Thank you, guys.